Singapore's free trade agreements, particularly the Singapore-India Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement or Ceca, were the main issues debated in Parliament today. So in response and seeking to explain why FTAs are critical to Singapore, Health Minister Ong Ye Kung and Manpower Minister Tan See Leng delivered ministerial statements earlier this afternoon. But with some of the 18 questions filed raising concerns about foreign manpower and the impact on local workers, Dr. Tan called the focus on FTAs and Ceca a red herring.
Now, the PSP has made Indian nationals coming in through Ceca a focus of contention. But I'm afraid they've been barking up the wrong tree. The number of ICTs coming in under our FTAs, and in particular Ceca, is a very, very small number relative to the total number of EPs. So I suggest we set aside this red herring and move on, more importantly, to the heart of the matter. The heart of the matter is this: how do we, as a small country, devoid of any natural resources, remain open to global talent, for us to continue to create opportunities for our fellow country Singaporeans, while at the same time managing the attendant social repercussions? Singaporeans are pragmatic. They understand we need to remain open to global talent. However, they also face real challenges. In particular, they're worried about three things. First, that the growth in EP holders has come at the expense of our local PMEs. Second, that some workplaces have become more concentrated with a single nationality. Third, that there may be discrimination against local job seekers and employees. I've come from the private sector, and I understand and I empathize with these fears, these concerns, and these anxieties.
And so Dr. Tan said the fundamental question is how to strike a balance between ensuring businesses have access to skills and manpower while creating opportunities for local workers. The government has a two-pronged strategy to achieve this.
So the first is to ensure that our local workers can compete fairly. We do this through our work pass controls. Our prevalent view is that foreign manpower should not come to Singapore just because they are cheaper to hire than locals. They should complement but not displace our local workforce. They should bring in extra skills to help the companies and at the same time create more Singaporean jobs. In line with these objectives, at the work permit and the S-Pass level, we have quotas and we have levies in place to regulate foreign worker numbers. We have been progressively tightening quotas. We have been progressively raising levies to reduce manpower reliance, spur job redesign, push for quality growth. For EPs, we do not impose quotas or levies, because there is fierce competition for global talent and worldwide shortages in areas such as tech and digital skills. A quota would be a hard cap that would limit our ability to compete at the high end of the global economy, while for a levy to have any impact or any effect at all on EP numbers, it would have to be set very high and would substantially increase business costs. Instead, what we have done is that we have focused on setting and raising the quality bar for EP holders through requirements on salary and qualifications to make sure that the EPs who come in are at the right level and they bring the right skill sets, the necessary expertise and experience to contribute significantly to our economy. Ladies and gentlemen, there are limits as to how far we can tighten our controls without eventually hurting Singaporeans. With remote working becoming more prevalent, companies increasingly do not need to site their manpower in Singapore. In fact, we may find more businesses simply choosing to move entire business functions offshore if it becomes too difficult, onerous, or expensive to operate here. Singaporeans will end up with a shorter end of the stick as well by losing some jobs too. And this is precisely why the second prong of our approach, that of ensuring that our Singaporeans can compete strongly, is just as important. In an open and globalized labor market like ours, competition is intense and stiff. There will be some of our fellow Singaporeans who are displaced from their jobs, and we need to help them find replacement jobs. This happens not just because of competition from foreign workers, but because of other factors like technological change and industries phasing out. And this is why the government invests so heavily in retraining, in skills development, so that displaced workers can gain new skills and reinvent themselves, either by doing a different job in the same industry or transiting to another industry altogether.
Responding to the Progress Singapore Party's questions on the nationality profile of work pass holders and their dependents, Dr. Tan said the top nationalities that could comprise around two-thirds of employment pass holders here has been consistent since 2005. Namely, they are from China, India, Japan, Malaysia, the Philippines and the UK. And while the proportion of EP holders from India has doubled to 26% last year from 13% back in 2005, Dr. Tan said it was driven by Singapore's rapidly growing digital economy rather than the result of more favourable treatment due to Ceca.
I believe the interest is really in Indian EP holders. The proportion of EP holders from India has increased from about 1/7 in 2005 to about a quarter in 2020. In comparison, the proportion of EP holders from China has remained relatively stable across this same time period. Now, is this the result of more favorable treatment for Indian EP holders due to Ceca? The answer is no. As I've shared earlier, all work pass holders in Singapore have to meet the same criteria before they are allowed to enter our labour market. There is no differentiation based on nationality. Rather, these numbers reflect trends in the global demand and supply of tech talent. The larger increase in Indian EP holders compared to other nationalities is driven by a result of rapid growth and choices of growing our digital economy and finance. As every sector seeks to be digitally enabled, their need for tech talent has grown significantly. We don't have enough locals to fill the jobs available. India is the largest country of origin for international migrants. This is in the 2021 January UN DESA report. In 2020 alone, it accounted for 18 million international migrants, up by 10 million from 2000. India has grown to become the second largest source of immigrants in the US, the third largest in the UK, and these two countries are also heavily invested in developing the technological capabilities. Now, our companies, our industries, our enterprises, they are both creators, as well as they are creators of technology, but they are also adopters of the talent that is needed to create these technologies. Given our relative shortage of manpower, even if the workers don't come from India, they will come from somewhere else. Now, I hope that Mr. Leong is not objecting to Indians per se. The point I think we should ask ourselves is this: are they helping our companies? Are they helping our enterprises? Are they helping us to grow our economy and create better Singaporean jobs? The answer is yes.
Also addressing discrimination in the workplace, Dr. Tan said there's a zero-tolerance policy towards discriminatory hiring practices, with all employers expected to comply with the Fair Consideration Framework requirements.
Over the past 3 years, TAFEP has handled an average of 170 nationality discrimination cases arising from complaints annually. The top 3 sectors making up about half of the complaints are the wholesale and retail trade, administrative and support services, and other service activities. These cases are investigated by TAFEP, and where warranted, they're referred to MOM for enforcement. Going forward, we will do more to clamp down on egregious employers with discriminatory employment practices. Several MPs like Mr. Louis Ng, Mr. Patrick Tay, and Mr. Vikram Nair had earlier suggested strengthening our levers to give more bite to our tripartite guidelines on fair employment practices. We take these suggestions seriously, and we have been studying various options.